we had planned to go riding today, or this morning, and it's raining. So, we wanted to make a video talking about our summer trip. So, we went on a trip for 6 weeks, and our first stop was in Idaho, and that was our main destination for the NICA National Conference, the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. And that was our hard deadline of the trip, was that conference. And we had budgeted 4 days to drive out there. So we drove from our home in western North Carolina to Idaho in 4 days. Our first stop was in Graham Cave State Park in Missouri, which is about a 12-hour drive from here. That's been a place that we've gone through before as we move out west. I kind of like to drive a long day at the very beginning when I'm still enthusiastic about driving, and so knocks out a big chunk of mileage. And then from there, we kind of planned on doing some fairly long days of driving, but with riding destinations in sort of the middle of the day.
It was 12 hours, so it was first 12 hours, and then the second 12 hours, and we rode in, where was it?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
So we stopped halfway and did a mountain bike ride in Lincoln, Nebraska, which was interesting. A little trail. It was kind of difficult to find. Trail Forks kept routing us to this weird dirt road parking lot that was adjacent to where we were trying to get to. Okay. But we finally got there and did a little ride, stretched our legs, and then jumped back in the van and drove on to where we were camping that night. Yeah. Then the next day we drove and we ended up riding in Green River, Wyoming, which was a really cool little town, and the trails were really interesting. It was kind of deserty riding, so sort of high desert.
Yeah, it was like high desert, and it was like if you think of high desert as like super flat, it's not flat. It's like these big old hills with big old cliffs from just like little rivers, and you just go along the edge, and it's just super fun riding because it's just all this like sandstone rock, and it's just really, really pretty. And yeah, that was a really fun ride.
Yeah, that was a cool little ride. We jumped back in the car and drove on to where we were camping that night. And then that was where we camped at Bear Lake State Park.
Yeah.
So we found this really cool campground called Bear Lake State Park. It straddles the Utah Idaho border, and it's a beautiful lake. We camped there for the night, and the next day we knocked out the rest of the drive to Ketchum, Idaho. The conference was in Sun Valley, Ketchum area, and we got there. We had an Airbnb that we were staying in for that time, so we weren't living in the van at that point. I
slept in it.
We were just parking it at the Airbnb. So we did a lot of riding in Sun Valley, Idaho, and for the record, everyone at the conference said that we need to say that it was in Montana, because you need to go visit Montana. Don't go to Idaho. Idaho sucks, apparently. But what we saw of Idaho and the riding that we did there was really, really awesome. We had a great time, and the trails were really cool. It was kind of high elevation, forested, real kind of dusty dirt, sort of like what we used to get in Flagstaff and things like that. So the riding was just incredible. The views were incredible. It was a really great time. So highly recommend Sun Valley, Idaho as a destination for a mountain bike trip. For sure. Galena Lodge, there's some really awesome trails around Galena Lodge, and you can hit a bunch of trails from town in Idaho, just riding the bike paths and going out into the trails.
Yeah, that's like me and my mom just riding saw 3 foxes.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Yeah.
And they have a really cool pump track that I hurt my wrist at, and that kind of sucks because it was like really great riding everywhere.
So
and I couldn't really ride, but it was still fun.
Yep. Beautiful views, really incredible. So highly recommend. So after we were done with the conference, we drove on to Oregon, and we hit Bend, which I'd visited before but hadn't ever ridden in, and we did just a little overnight camping in the forest, and got up in the morning, rode the Whoops Trail just as a little kind of leg stretcher, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was right up from our campsite.
Yeah. And I just asked these locals, and I was like, "What's the funnest trail out here?" And he was like, "Whoops." I was like, "Where's that?" And he's like, "Right there." I'm like, "That's easy."
So rode Whoops Trail and jumped in the car and headed to Portland. But our big detour of the day was to go to Sandy Ridge outside of Portland, and the Sandy Ridge Trail is really cool.
Yeah.
It is the only trail I've ever seen where downhill has the right of way.
Yeah, and it's also like a paved road up to the top with just downhill trails all the way back.
And why you would want to ride uphill on the trail is beyond me, because they're way more fun going down. So you ride a long paved road. It's about 2 miles or so up. And you can ride up as far as you want depending upon what trail you want to ride down. So we went to the top and rode down. Really incredible, fun, amazing downhill ride. Just a lot of fun. So
I actually did a different ride because my wrist was still hurt, and I did part of their ride, but there's one trail that they hit that I did, and that was Little Monkey. And Little Monkey is a jump trail that starts off with small jumps, but there's a trail called TNT right beside of it. And basically TNT, or Little Monkey eventually feeds into TNT. You'll see little jump, little jump, little jump, massive. And it's just super funny because it just comes up on you.
After we got done riding at Sandy Ridge, we drove on to Portland, or actually, I guess it's West Portland, where my sister-in-law lives, and we stayed at her place. She took us around Portland. We didn't do any riding. We just kind of did a lot of really cool sightseeing. We went to the beach, played in a bunch of tidal pools.
Yeah, our dog loved the beach. He would run around in circles. You may have seen that video. But what there wasn't in that video was that he would constantly drink one section of ocean water, and he'd be like, and then he'd go over and he'd be like, "Is this good? Drink it." Nah. And he'd be just doing that for a while.
And we went to a aviation museum and saw the Spruce Goose,
yeah, that was really cool.
Which was the largest wooden airplane ever built, which was really cool. Went inside of it, really amazing thing to see, and ate some really incredible food in Portland.
Oh yes, the food cart pods. That's what they're called.
Food cart pods.
Yes.
Those were really cool.
Yeah.
Just had a great time. And from Portland, we stayed there for a couple of days. We drove on to Bellingham, Washington, which is where my wife Owen's mom is from, and went to Bellingham. You've probably heard about Bellingham. We rode Galbraith Mountain.
That's awesome. I suggest that you ride all the way up to the top. It's worth it. And do Evolution all the way down, and then do Unemployment Line. Try to connect it up to Unemployment Line, and those are like the funnest trails out there. I mean, we didn't ride Mohawk,
No, we didn't ride Mohawk.
but that looked pretty fun too.
But
Like, 'cause
Galbraith is a big, huge trail network. There's a lot of trails there, a lot of great various levels of riding. So definitely something to explore for days on end.
Yeah.
We not only did we ride Galbraith, which I'd ridden before, way back in I think '03 or '04, and my wife has actually rode out in Galbraith when it was just a social network of trails back in the '90s, so or '80s, late '80s, early '90s. So it's a really cool place. It's really cool to see everything they've done.
Yeah.
We also rode in Bellingham at a place called Larrabee State Park, which there's two main trails that we were trying to hit. They were Black Diamond and Double Down.
Yeah.
And
Or no, it was Double Black Diamond and then Double Down.
Double Black Diamond and Double Down.
Yeah.
And those trails were super rowdy.
Yeah.
They were
like, it was like you'd have like all these like slick rocks and roots, and then it'd be like massive hump to a bunch more slick rocks and roots.
Yeah, drops, just a little bit of everything in a really just like cool, rough cut, not machine groomed or anything like that kind of trail.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So we took a trip from Bellingham back down towards Seattle to Bellevue to visit my brother-in-law. And outside of there, we rode at a place called Duthie.
Oh my gosh, Duthie Park.
Duthie Park.
It's awesome. And that's it. It's basically, think of like, well, it's hard to explain.
So,
A mountain bike park that has no lift, that is free, and basically it has like a little center.
It's a skills park.
Yeah, it's a skills park,
Yeah.
and it has all these climb trails and then descent trails, and it has like big jumps to small jumps to like super progressive lines. Like he learned how to do a gap.
Yep. I've started doing gap jumps on a line called Gravy Train.
Yeah.
There's drops. We kept riding one trail that featured a bunch of drops on it.
Ryan's Eternal Flow.
Ryan's Eternal Flow.
And it's it's just super fun. You like come and it's flowy into, and then there's like straight ahead out of this berm there is a like drop, but it goes down, and then it's a drop and to a big landing and then a big step up. But then there's a bunch of lines around it. They're like smaller drops that are also really fun, and that's kind of like the biggest drop on Ryan's Eternal Flow.
It's a great place to work on progression of skills. So you can start small and work your way up bigger and bigger and bigger. If you're a very advanced rider, you're going to find something there that's going to be challenging.
Oh, yeah.
It's just everything from greens to pro lines. Is something that you can find at Duthie.
if you're like a really great rider, you can hit Hickline. I mean, like Hickline isn't a pro line, but it still is pretty hard. And I got sketched out on the last jump because it just boots you.
And after that little detour, we went back to Bellingham. Unfortunately, my wife's bike got stolen off the back of the van outside of Bellevue. Fortunately for us, they didn't steal all of our bikes.
Yeah.
They just stole the one.
If so, I would have gotten a Kona process.
But huge, huge, huge shout out and thank you to our homeowners insurance, Allstate. This is in no way any sort of paid promotion or anything like that.
But
they dialed us in. I called as soon as we discovered that the bike had been stolen. Called them. They got a claims adjuster with us, and as soon as he discovered that we were on vacation, that we were teachers, this is the whole reason why we were traveling was because of mountain biking. He just went above and beyond, and we had our claim settled and our payout from the claim in our account within hours, and we had a new bike on the way in just a couple of days. So we got really lucky that Bellingham is where Kona Bikes is based and headquartered. So we were able to find a extra small bike for my wife and have them build it up and ready to go for us. So the Kona Bike Shop in Bellingham did a great job of having a bike ready for us and this was July 4th, so we got lucky with the holiday. They had it turned around for us in a day. It was really great. So thank you to everybody that really made that experience as pain-free as possible, and we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
After we got all that dialed in, we were off to Canada, and so we're going to make another video about Canada because it's a whole other country, so it deserves its own little video.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.